Well, tonight is a night. It is opening night here at Great American Ballpark. The pageantry, the excitement returns again. Fans lined up just a short while ago to get a glimpse of their favorite Reds players. They were out walking the red carpet tonight. It's going to be a cold night in Cincinnati. But that won't dampen the spirit of all the excitement for Reds baseball. It's opening night 2013. Bright, sunny, early evening in downtown Cincinnati. We welcome you to Great American Ballpark. Game 2 of 162. And the Reds trying to get their first win of the year tonight, taking on the Los Angeles Angels. A beautiful night for baseball and a huge crowd on hand. And hi again, everybody, alongside Chris Welsh. Doesn't he look dapper tonight? I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds baseball. And well, we're able to smile right now, but certainly a major hit for the Reds occurring on opening day. You know, they go virtually all of last year with only one major injury. That, of course, was to Joey Votto. And then on opening day, already down goes Ryan Ludwig.
Well, you know, Ryan Ludwig is a guy that brings more to this ball club than just what he does on the field. There's the injury. He slid headfirst into third base and jammed his right elbow, as you see right there. It jammed his shoulder. As it turned out, he ended up having surgery today on it, and he's on the disabled list, obviously, but when he will be back, that's up for question. You know, optimistically, he'll be back in a month or so. It could be a lot longer for that. But when you miss Ryan Ludwig, these are the numbers, yes. Last year, he was a key to the season when the Reds had Joey Votto go down, and he and Todd Frazier essentially took the offense on their backs and said, we're going to get hot and carry you. But he leaves a lot more than that when he leaves the clubhouse, because he's about the best teammate you could ever have on a ball club. He's a leader. He's a guy that is kind of enough of a cut-up to break the ice when things are tense, and they're going to miss him from that standpoint as well.
Chris Heisey will be the man who gets a start tonight. We asked Dusty Baker and Chris Heisey about making the big step up now for Ludwig.
It's a big blow, especially in the middle of our lineup and one of our leaders on the team. But, you know, much like last year with Joy, I hope we have the same success, you know, whoever taken, you know, Ryan Ludwig's place. And, you know, we missed Joy for 50 games last year, which everybody wrote us off then. And but this team, you know, has a way of you know, coming together.
Well, that's how I got to the big leagues in the first place. You know, a couple years ago, Chris Dickerson broke his hand or wrist, and all of a sudden I'm in the big leagues. And so it's unfortunate that, you know, that's the way it has to work, but, you know, get a little bit of a chance to get some more playing time. Hopefully I'll take advantage of it.
So Chris Heisey in there tonight. Brandon Phillips will drop to the 4-hole. When we come back, we'll talk about the Reds' second ace in the hole who gets the nod tonight. Matt Latos. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio.
Cincinnati Reds. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, the folks came prepared here tonight. It is going to be mighty cold. How cold? Our weather report brought to you by Eric Dieters and Associates, and here's our main man, Tim Hedren.
Can you believe it? I'm living the dream. Another year on Fox Sports Ohio. Here's your forecast for the game. 46 first pitch. Halfway home, you're looking at 42. Heading for home, 39 degrees. 3 hits and 13 innings the other night. I say we just make contact tonight, boys. Enjoy the game on Fox Sports Ohio.
Well, it's going to be tough duty for those Angels as well, facing this guy, Matt Latos.
Well, you're not kidding about that. When Matt Latos is on his game, he's got just overpowering stuff. He's a big, tall guy, 6 feet 6 inches tall. But when he gets that fastball working, he has a great downward plane. He can hit the both sides of the plate. And Matt Latos is driven. This year, he did a lot of work in the offseason, preparing himself to be, well, ace number 2 behind Johnny Cueto. He'll face a real good one in left-hander C.J. Wilson. This guy's 32 years old. He's had 3 consecutive years of double-digit wins. A former closer for the Texas Rangers, now in the rotation. And a very good matchup tonight of lefty-righty here at Great American Ballpark.
All righty, and a good crowd on hand, ready to roll, close to 38,000. They were walking the red carpet, and now the Reds are looking to walk their way to win number 1 of this 2013 season. First pitch coming up next. best-selling truck in America 36 straight years. By Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Book your stay at CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili, feeling good. It's Skyline time. Reds have taken the field, led by right-hander Matt Latos, set for game number 2 of this 2013 campaign. And once again, the opponent, Mike Scioscia's Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Starting lineup has Mike Trout in center, Eric Ibar at short, Albert Pujols at first, Josh Hamilton at right, Mark Trumbo in left, Howie Kendrick at second, Alberto Callaspo at third. Chris Iannetta knocked in all 3 of the Angels' runs on opening day. And left-hander C.J. Wilson is on the mound. Matt Latos, a 14-game winner against only 4 losses, got off to a rough start in April and early May, and then he was dynamite the rest of the way.
I think he had a dynamite spring, Tom, not necessarily from a number standpoint, but from a standpoint of being comfortable with his teammates, knowing what it's like to be a Cincinnati Red. He felt so much pressure on himself last year at this time, being traded for 4 players. He tried to win all those games early on in the spring just to show everybody that he was worth that type of a trade. But he's relaxed now, and I think Matt Latos is poised for a very good season. A very tough lineup and challenge tonight.
Indeed, a lineup the Reds really slowed down on opening day, but they managed 3 runs, and that was enough. In a 3-1 13-inning win, it's strike 1 to Mike Trout, and this one is underway. Trout had 1 hit and 6 at-bats. Of course, Reds pitching in that game struck out 17 Angels. The Reds struck out 13 times. There's strike 2 that paints the outside corner. The 30 strikeouts by the 2 teams combined. An all-time modern-day major league record for strikeouts by 2 teams in a season-opening game. 0-2 on Trout. Once more the 1-2 on Trout, and once more just off the outside corner to even things up. Trout the runner-up in the American League Most Valuable Player balloting. He was the American League's Rookie of the Year. Led the league in runs scored and stolen bases. Hit 30 home runs. 2-2. Struck him out. Trout went down swinging twice in the season opener and gone swinging to begin game 2. The Reds on defense, presented by Ford. Frazier, Cozart, Phillips, Votto along the infield. Heisey for the injured Ludwig. Chu in center, and Jay Bruce is in right field. A big day today for Jay. Happy birthday, Jay Bruce. My, oh my, 26 years young. Now Eric Ibar pulled to Brandon Phillips. Quickly 2 gone. Now, Chris, I made reference to it. We heard from Tim Hedrick a moment ago. You and I were here. Windows open as the day went on and on and on. On Monday, playing 13 innings, nearly 5 hours of baseball. The frigid temperatures a big deal once you get on the field at all?
I think it's more of a temperature problem for the hitters than it is for the pitchers, to be honest with you, Tom. I mean, guys don't like to be pitched inside. The pitchers are the guys who are most active out there, so you don't really get cold except for your fingers. Sometimes it's tough to get a good grip on the baseball, but once you get the hang of it, I think the pitchers are in the flow. The hitters are at the disadvantage.
1-1 on Albert Pujols.
Well, right now Latos is right down at the bottom of the zone. I mean, the bottom of the zone being the hollow of the knees. And he's been right down there both with Mike Trout and again here with Albert Pujols.
Pujols and the Angels got off to a terrible start a year ago. Pujols did not hit a home run in the entire month of April. The first did not come until May the 6th. The Angels lost 14 of their first 20 games last year, and they fell so far behind by the end of May that when they did start to play well, and they did have a great 2.5-month run, but once that came to a halt, they were still so far back that they could not catch the two teams ahead of them, and wound up finishing third in the American League West behind Oakland and the Rangers. 2-2. Popped up. Foul ground and out of play.
Well, they hit really well. I mean, if you exclude the first month of the year, in fact, they ended up with the highest batting average of any team in the American League last year. The Angels did. But again, the question marks around the Angels, if there are any, would be, what does the starting rotation look like after number 2, C.J. Wilson, and can that bullpen do and duplicate what they did against the Reds on Monday? They're going to score runs. There's no doubt about it.
Once more over the first base side, and once more in amongst the fans. Well, I told you, Bruce, only 26 years old, and that's today. Latos will not turn 26 until December. 3-2 on Albert Pujols.
Looked like he tripped off the mound a little bit that time, came off limping. I don't think he hurt himself, but you know, in the first inning or two, sometimes it's always a battle to find your good footing on that pitching mound. You see that left foot of his hit and slide a little bit. That's one reason why the ball missed the strike zone so badly, and also why he kind of gift-legged his way back up to the hill.
3-2 on Pujols. 2 down, nobody on, and that's a walk with 2 away in the inning. That'll keep it alive for Josh Hamilton. Six years ago, April 2nd, 2007, after being out of baseball nearly 3 full years, battling drug addiction, alcohol addiction, the former overall #1 pick in the draft, the same draft incidentally that Albert Pujols went in, Josh Hamilton finally made his major league debut 7 years after that draft, and it came in a Reds uniform. Came up as a pinch hitter and spent his first season, of course, in the major leagues with the Reds before he was traded away, a trade that so many Reds fans still talk about now, and really you can't blame them. But the Reds were in a position where they felt like they needed pitching and they had enough offense, and they sent Hamilton to the Rangers. And the primary name coming back the other way, Edinson Volquez. 0-2 on Hamilton.
That's the pitch right there. That second pitch, the fastball on the inner part of the plate, that there are so few right-handers around the league that can throw that. But when Latos does it, he does it from such a high arm angle. To get that ball to back up the way he does is just a phenomenal thing. Something that's very difficult to teach. He worked on it all winter long.
Pujols takes off. Throw down to second base, and they got him. Running on Ryan Hannigan. You're not going to make a living doing that. Latos gave him a chance. Right on the money. Reds are coming up. Setting the table for this team offensively. He did his part on opening day. Shin-Soo Choo had a couple of hits. On base 3 times. And scored the Reds' only run. Chris Heisey in the 2-hole and left. Joey Votto, Brandon Phillips down to the cleanup spot. Jay Bruce in right, Todd Frazier at third. The latter third, and Zach Cozart, Ryan Hannigan, Matt Latos. Against C.J. Wilson, who begins his 2nd year after signing the big free agent contract, leaving the Rangers to pitch for the Angels last year. He had a great first half, and the wheels fell off the second half.
Now, he like the pitcher who pitched for the Angels the first night or first day, Jared Weaver. Very difficult to hit. Low batting average against. The guy's a very talented left-hander, and for a lefty, he throws very firm. That fastball will go anywhere from 90 to 94 miles an hour. A good slider, good changeup, all the pitches you need to be a successful pitcher. One knock on Wilson, if there is one, is he's a very cerebral guy and sometimes finds himself outthinking himself on the mound.
Won 9 of those 13 games in the first half of the season, which earned him a trip to the All-Star game. There's a roller down to Pujols, and Choo retired. The defense behind C.J. Wilson, brought to you by Ford. Told you Trumbo will be their DH primarily this year. And Trout will primarily play in left when Peter Borges plays center. Hamilton and right. That infield will be out there virtually every day. Ibar and Kendrick. Handful of years together up the middle. And Iannetta brought back on a 3-year deal. Trumbo last year bounced a little bit of everywhere. Izzy first pitch swinging the fly ball into right field, and just like that, they're 2 away in the inning.
Really curious before coming into this ball game exactly what Dusty Baker's lineup would be now that you've lost Ludwig for several months anyway. Would you put Brandon Phillips, leave him in a number 2 spot, put him in the number 4 hole with against a left-hander? Would Sin-Soo Choo continue to lead off, or would you find another way to do it? And we're finding out that you're going to go back to the old, which is having Brandon Phillips in the number 4 spot. One thing for certain, Votto bats third.
Joey, a hitless opening day, went 0 for 4. Reached base 3 times, twice on walks, one of those intentionally.
I thought that was a very interesting first pitch that Wilson just threw to Joey Votto. Coming in off the plate, really didn't look like he wanted that to be a strike, but he wanted to buy a little bit of the outside corner against Joey Votto. One way you can try to do that is to come in off the plate early. That way it sets up his slider for later in the count. If he gets Votto to 2 strikes, he drops a slider on him, works it away, and Votto's not quite as willing to get out over the dish as he would without seeing that fastball inside the first pitch anyway.
Started to pull the trigger, couldn't do it. Caught the inside corner. 2-2 on Joey Votto. Tell you what, for a Wednesday night, if this is a foreshadowing of what's to come as far as the crowd is concerned. I mean, here we are on a cold night. Yes, the opening night celebration, but almost 38,000 expected to be here tonight. On the ground, backhanded by Ibar. Getting over. Reds go in order, quickly in order. No score at the end of 1. By Elk and Elk, serious lawyers for serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Matt Latos followed Sam LeCure in relief of Johnny Cueto, game 1 in the National League Division Series last year, and he was mighty impressive. 4 innings, 1 run. LeCure was credited for the win in that game. But of course, you look back, and Chris, you'll always wonder, and there's no sense in spending a whole lot of time thinking about it because there's nothing you can do about it. But had Cueto been able to go ahead and finish off that game, and then you have everything lined up. Arroyo game 2, Latos coming back game 3, Bailey game 4, and if you went to a game 5, which of course we did, it would have been Cueto once more. But as we know, that's not the way that tune finished. Boy, Johnny was just brilliant in the season opener. Hamilton fouling that one off out of play. I continue to be amazed at really the lack of conversation about Johnny Cueto when you hear people discuss the top pitchers in all of baseball. Now, there are guys out there that have done it longer. No question about that. Verlander's a guy whose name always comes up, and Felix Hernandez and Clayton Kershaw. A lot of people talk about him, but I'll tell you, after you get past those 3, it's hard to imagine that Cueto would not enter the conversation shortly thereafter. He's that good.
Well, I'll tell you, there is no shortage of conversation about Johnny Cueto around the opposing batting cage. Hanging around down there a little bit today, talking to some of their coaches, players, Sosha. I mean, all they wanted to talk about was how nasty Johnny Cueto was, how he was throwing his changeup to right on right, meaning right-handed pitcher against right-handed hitter, that they don't see very often. And they said that ball was just dropping off a table from the dugout. They didn't know how they were even going to get any swings off that guy. And that's all they had to do was one accolade after another for the Red starter. And that's the way it is. You talk to players, they feel like that about Cueto. Could be the fact of lack of national conversation about Cueto has to do with a small market. Reds haven't won a World Series. I mean, if the Reds win a World Series and Johnny Cueto's at the top of the class, you're going to hear a lot more conversation about him.
2-2 on Hamilton. He was at the plate when Pujols was thrown out trying to steal, and he is gone swinging, and that's quickly 2 of them in the game for Matt Latos.
Little slider going to the backside of the plate right there. And boy, you know, when Matt Latos throws his slider from such a high arm angle, we're going to talk about that a lot. That good high arm angle puts slider spin on it, goes straight down. A good replay courtesy, of course, of our Performance Honda X Mode. He's a hard guy to chart, because when he throws his slider and it goes straight down, it looks like a changeup, sometimes looks like a sinker. Like that pitch right there, probably a changeup at 87 miles an hour.
Ball 1 to Mark Trumbo, 1 hit in 5 at bats and a walk on opening day. Trumbo led the team last year, 32 home runs. He knocked in 95. We talked about all the bouncing around that he did when they brought in Pujols. Trumbo, who had been their first baseman in 2011, didn't have a job, or at least didn't have a position. They tried him at third base. That did not go well. They played him in right. They played him in left. He did some DHing. Wound up on the All-Star team. Well, that ball is moving and darting and diving all over the place early on for Matt Latos.
And he's keeping it all down around the knees. I mean, even if he gets that ball over the center of the plate, look at the dip on that slider right there. There's not much you're going to be able to do with it. Matt was explaining to me in spring training what he did over the winter. I thought it was a fascinating little exercise drill that he did in his garage. He hung a tennis ball from the ceiling, and he practiced his delivery, dry delivery without a ball in his hand, over and over again, reaching for the tennis ball way above his head. And he tried to do that so he would ingrain in his mind, kind of give himself muscle memory of pitching downhill. He said he came to spring training this year, and he says, everything I've done, every workout, every bullpen has been downhill. It's been such a big difference. And some guys are good from a high arm angle like that. Other guys are more effective when they drop their arm angle a little bit.
And strike 3 called at the knees to Trumbo, who has something to say to home plate umpire Bill Miller.
Now, it looks like the strike zone of Bill Miller is going to be a little bit more lenient towards pitching tonight than the other night on opening day. A nice little frame job at the very end by Ryan Hannigan, holds it there an extra second and tries to convince Miller that out caught the dish. Trumbo is still a non-believer.
So now Howie Kendrick, right-handed batting second baseman. 2 down and nobody on. Popped up and playable. Jay Bruce near the line. 1, 2, 3 for Matt Latos. Phillips, Bruce, and Frazier coming up in a scoreless game.
I told him that I was promised him I was going to leave him one spot, and I guess this is the spot I'm going to leave him in for a while. And you know, Brandon he's a guy that can hit all over the order. He's a guy that's done it. He's a guy that's driven in 100 runs. He's scored 100 runs, and wherever he's batted in the lineup.
So Brandon Phillips is indeed batting in the cleanup spot, at least for this first game, following the injury on opening day to Ryan Ludwig. And I'm sure Ryan is dialed into the game right now, and we certainly miss you. Everybody misses you around here and can't wait for you to get well and get back on the field. The Reds need you. Strike 1 to Brandon. And Ryan Ludwig made it very, very clear when he had a chance to come to the Reds last season, and then once they re-signed him during the offseason, how for him, growing up a Reds fan, a ball in the air to left field, drifting is Trumbo, and he has room in front of the wall, 1 out. This was living a dream for Ryan Ludwig, who grew up a Reds fan, family from Germantown, Ohio. And now he so very badly wanted to be back here and was so grateful the Reds found a way to make it happen.
Well, he fit in just terrifically well in this ball club. And, you know, I don't know if he's watching it or not, Tom. I mean, when you come out of shoulder surgery, you're kind of groggy about 7:30 p.m. But hopefully he's going to make a quick recovery, because he's something special in this clubhouse. I mean, he's a guy, I know a lot of people gave credit to Scott Rowland over the last few years, but when Ryan Ludwig came in, he's about as good a teammate as you can find. And enough of a cut-up to keep things nice and loose when things begin to go bad on you. So
you just had shoulder surgery last year. You had 2 of them, if I remember right.
No.
Well, that's right. You got in a car accident after you had the surgery. There's a ground ball to the shortstop, and there are 2 away in the inning, and thankfully it didn't do any further damage.
I didn't have to go back and get another one. I tell you, it feels great now. When you're older than Ryan Ludwig, he'll have a much quicker recovery than I did, because I'm just an old guy. But Dr. Tim Kremchek did a great job on me, I'll tell you what. And hopefully that Ryan Ludwig will feel as good in 3 months as it took me 2 years to feel. Of course, I'm still medicated.
I think most of the people watching are very aware of that.
Mainly because I have to work with you.
In there, strike to Todd Frazier. In there, strike. Frazier 1 hit in 5 at bats. He turns around and asks Bill Miller, "You sure?" Frazier thought that ball was inside.
Boy, no one's ever any satisfied, are they? I mean, the pitchers are complaining on Monday. Tonight, the hitters are complaining.
Well, this resembles very much on opening day from an offensive standpoint. No score, end of 2. Opener John Winfrey. And as the Blue Jackets make a playoff run, how about that? Any trades in the deadline? Plus a preview of this weekend's Final 4. All the coverage brought to you by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO. Drive safe, spend less, and welcome to Great American Ballpark, downtown Cincinnati. Set to begin the 3rd inning, and Matt Latos and C.J. Wilson both very sharp through the front 2. Only 1 base runner. A 2-out walk in the 1st inning issued Latos to Pujols, who was thrown out trying to steal second base to end the inning. So 7, 8, and 9 in the order. Callaspo, Iannetta, and Wilson. Strike 1 to Alberto Callaspo. Callaspo originally came up in the Angels organization. And man, he put up some big time offensive seasons. Big time in terms of number of hits, batting average. Then was traded in a deal to the Arizona Diamondbacks for a highly touted young right-hander, Jason Bolger, in 2006. Up and down over a couple of years, really never given a chance with the Diamondbacks. That one hooked into right. And Bruce is there at the track. That ball carried a little bit. 1 out in the inning. Callaspo wound up going to Kansas City and get his feet on the ground. The Angels got him back, and he's been a nice player for them. I mean, he's not your prototypical third baseman. Not a lot of power, but they're not wanting for power.
Now, they've got plenty of power in the lineup, way ahead of him in that lineup. They just need some guys on base. And he has a pretty decent on-base percentage the last couple of years.
Now Iannetta. Boy,
he must be wearing
a bat early.
Pujols' shoes.
You're right. Maybe he's using his bat. Iannetta has as many hits as the Reds have so far. That's his third hit. He knocked in all 3 of their runs. Had the solo home run against Johnny Cueto. That was early in the game. Came in the 3rd inning. And then, of course, he had the big hit to break the 1-1 tie with the bases loaded and 2 outs in the 13th, propelling the Angels to the 2-run victory. Now Wilson. Strike 1. Not a good sign for the Philadelphia Phillies early on. They've been so concerned about Roy Halladay, who just had a dreadful spring training coming off an injury a year ago. Atlanta has already scored 3 runs in the 1st inning off Halladay. Atlanta roughed up Cole Hamels in game 1. 2 outs in the inning, and the runner back in time to first without a throw. I'd like to take a moment and remind you tonight's Ohio Lottery Powerball jackpot worth $40 million. And drawing is at 11 p.m. tonight. So back to the top of the order we go, and there's Mike Trout. He struck out swinging, leading off the game. That ball clubbed into right center field, and it will bounce up and into the stands, and the Reds catch a break there.
Yeah, they really do, because there's no way that they're going to be able to get that lead runner, Iannetta. Even a catcher running would have scored on that, the way the ball came up and bounced off the top of the wall. For Mike Trout, who's been being pitched away by the Reds, pitch after pitch. The difference here is that it catches a little bit of the outer part of the plate, and it's about thigh high. And boy, he shows you some kind of the power that won him the Rookie of the Year award last year by just flicking that ball into right center field and one hop into the stands.
First real threat of the game for either team. 2nd and 3rd, 2 out, and here's Eric Ibar. Swung at the first pitch his first time up and hit a ground ball right at Brandon Phillips.
Yeah, I said the other day, Tom, that it was Alberto Callaspo that was going to be Johnny Cueto's teammate on the Dominican Republic WBC team. It was actually this young man, Eric Ibar. Very fine looking shortstop.
Pitch on the way to Ibar, and it's just off the outside corner, ball 1.
You know, normally you have a base open like this. You're thinking Matt Latos. You're thinking, well, you know, I don't have to get this guy if I fall behind. But then you start looking in the on-deck circle, and then who's in the hole and who's after him, and you have Pujols and Josh Hamilton and Mark Trumbo, and you say, you know what, Ibar has got to be the guy Latos gets right here.
1-1. Iannetta, the runner at 3rd. He had a 1-out single in the inning. Advanced on to 3rd after the double by Trout, who leads at 2nd. 2 away and a 1-1 on Eric Ibar. 2 balls and a strike. And that's strike 2. You can't paint it on the outside corner any better than that.
Well, he's changing speeds in addition to keeping the ball down and on the corner. Trying to stay away from Ibar. That ball right on the knees on the black.
So now Latos looking for that put away pitch to get the final out of this top of the 3rd inning and keep it a scoreless game. At the belt, big deep breath, and here it comes. Ran a fastball in on his hands that Ibar is able to fight off. You know, one of the big questions for the Angels, it's a good looking lineup, no 2 ways about that. But the number 2 spot in the batting order was problematic for them last year. And now with all this thunder in the middle and Trout at the top, who would bat second? Could have gone with Kayaspo, Kendrick, or Ibar. And Ibar, at least to begin the year, is in that spot. And a big spot in this game early on right now.
Looks like Ibar has no intention of really trying to pull the ball, although he grounded out on the first pitch he saw on his first at bat to the second baseman. He looks like he's just trying to stay alive by slapping the ball to the outside, figuring that Latos and Hannigan are going to keep that ball on the third base side of home plate.
Once more, the 2-2 delivery. Pull to the right side. Votto's got it. Good throw to Latos, and that'll do it in the Angels' third inning. Good work by the Reds right-hander. 2 hits, 2 left. No score after 2.5. Why not? Cheer on the Redlegs. It'll be the finale of this series. 381 Reds, a number to call, a business day special. Don't forget, if you buy a view level ticket, you receive $10 in concession credits for only $15. How about that? So you get the ticket, $10 in concession credits. Come on down. 12:35 tomorrow. Bronson Arroyo. Boy, did he look good this spring. I mean, there were a lot of the Red starters, like every team. They'll have their ups and downs over the course of spring training, but pretty much from the get-go, Arroyo was on his game. And coming off a really good year. Joe Blanton, who grew up, of course, over in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, pitched at the University of Kentucky. He will start it for the Angels. Zach Cozart against C.J. Wilson, and there's a strike. 1-1. Reds looking for their first base runner. Angels have had 3, 2 hits and a walk. Told you Bill Miller calling the balls and strikes tonight. C.B. Buckner works at first base. Todd Tichenor works out at second, and Dale Scott, the umpire, at third. One-handed pickup by Pujols over there on the short throw from Ibar, but it's an out.
It almost looks like Ibar decides to throw this ball a la Davey Concepcion down on the ground. Either that or just ran out of gas and gave a nice long hop for Pujols to pick. I don't know if you plan to do that on grass infields. Of course, Davey Concepcion made a living out of that in the second half of his career, doing it on the turf of the Riverfront Stadium.
Now Ryan Hannigan looks at ball 1 up and away. Hannigan on opening day hitless like many of his teammates. Reds only had 3 of them in the 13 innings here on Monday afternoon, late Monday afternoon, and well into Monday night. Pretty much everybody in baseball at it tonight or earlier today. Most of the teams open Monday, would have Tuesday off. They're playing tonight. Some others started on Tuesday with a day off today. Here's a 1-2. High fly ball into left field. Trumbo once more with room. Fox Sports Ohio and the Cincinnati Reds would like to send out best wishes to Bob Easter, who is in a Virginia hospital suffering from cancer, and certainly our thoughts and prayers, Bob Easter, are with you for a speedy recovery. Big Reds fan, so get well, Bob.
Pretty good hack right there by Matt Latos. You know, there are some teams out there, a lot of American League teams that play interleague games against National Leagues in the National League City where they bat a pitcher that doesn't normally hit. Will oftentimes have that pitcher take a strike just to see if they can maybe work a walk. Latos is up there ready to rip.
Latos behind an account at 1 ball and 2 strikes, and Wilson misses off the inside corner. Fly ball to Josh Hamilton. This will be a 3rd consecutive perfect inning for C.J. Wilson. We go to the 4th in a scoreless game in Cincinnati. Brought to you by Toyota. See your Toyota dealer or visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And by JTM Food Group. Let's create great dishes together. Welcome back to downtown Cincinnati. We're going to look at the Freedom Center right next to the ballpark, about a block or so down along the banks. Our AT&T trivia question: prior to Matt Latos, who was the last Reds pitcher to win 14 or more games in his first season with the team? I think I have a guess for that one.
Well, Monday's winner was Tom Browning, who won 20 games, I believe, in his first year. I don't believe you have to go back that far to find the answer to this one.
No. Matter of fact, I think the answer, and I could be wrong, I probably am wrong, but if it's the answer that I'm thinking of, there is a connection between this name and a guy playing in the game tonight.
Always looking for that connection.
In fact, there's a connection, really, if you want to play connect the dots. There's a connection between Matt Latos and the guy we're thinking of.
Pretty soon we'll be talking about Kevin Bacon.
All right, heart of the order now for the Angels, and that's quite a heart of the order. In Pujols, Hamilton, and Trumbo. 0-2 on Pujols, who walked his first time up.
Well, you just see the difference when major leaguers have to swing at pitches that are pitchers' pitches. I mean, low and away on the knees. Albert Pujols doesn't have nearly the kind of swing at it than he does on pitches that are mistake pitches. And you can see why pitching coaches just harp on it, get the ball down. And the difference between down and up might be only a matter of about 3 inches. The lower part of the knees versus a couple of inches above the knee.
Pujols fell behind his first time up against Latos, hit a ball at 2 strikes, and was able to foul off a couple of pitches, run the count full, eventually draw the walk, and then try to steal second base with Josh Hamilton at the plate. He's thrown out by Ryan Hannigan, and now he'll lead off the 4th inning. 2-2 on Pujols.
I mean, in the way you just described, where Pujols fouled off a few pitches after he got behind and then eventually worked the walk, that sounds exactly like Joey Votto. The idea is not making out. This guy doesn't make too many of those.
He makes one here. 4th strikeout of the night for Matt Latos, and 1 gone here in the Angels' 4th.
Or when you're a right-handed pitcher and you can control this part of the strike zone right here, that low and away spot, you get hitters looking out there, and pretty soon they'll start chasing pitches that are 1 inch, 2, 3, even 4 inches off the plate because they're looking away. You give them what they're looking for, but you put it a little bit farther away than they can handle it. And even a guy like Albert Pujols can't hold back.
Now Josh Hamilton, 1-0 pitch. Pulled foul. Taken off the inside corner. Two and two. We were talking about Hamilton and Pujols being in the same draft class together going back to 1999. They were at a pre-draft camp down in Tampa. Had never met one another. Somebody told Pujols, said, that guy over there is going to be the #1 pick in the country. And Pujols sort of said, you got to be kidding me. That's the #1 pick in the country. And apparently Hamilton got up there in batting practice and started hitting balls as a high school senior that not many guys that even wore a major league uniform at the time hit. And Pujols said to somebody, I see why now. Strike 3 called on the outside corner. Hamilton has struck out for the second time tonight. And now he has something to say to the home plate umpire, Bill Miller.
A memo to hitters tonight. You better come up there ready to swing the bat because Latos is on the corners. That pitch is not low. Joey Hamilton may have thought, or Josh Hamilton may have thought it was low, but as you see by that strike zone that we show you, Bill Miller shaking his head saying, up right at the hollow of the knees.
Back-to-back Ks. And then you pull the string at 77 on Trumbo.
So let's go back to that pre-draft workout. How did Albert Pujols ever drop down? What was he, 18th round pick?
Yep.
How did he ever drop down to, I mean, didn't he hit a little bit and Josh Hamilton say, well, that guy ought to be a #1 pick too? I mean, after all, he was probably coming out of junior college.
I don't know how those pre-draft camps work, Chris. You would be able to address this better than I wondered what a guy like Pujols was even doing at that kind of camp, to be honest with you, just based on where he was drafted. That's good morning and good afternoon and good night, not only to Trumbo, but to the heart of the Angels order. Latos fans aside, and these are the big boys. Pujols, gone. Hamilton, gone. Trumbo and the Angels, gone. With you. MLB.TV celebrating 11 years. Visit Reds.com to order and get more details. MLB.TV, baseball everywhere. Chris Welsh is a premium subscriber to MLB.TV.
I was watching it last night. In fact, I nearly watched a perfect game.
Yep.
On MLB TV last night. 2 outs in the 9th inning. Yu Darvish gave up a ground ball that went right between the legs and into center field to ruin the bid for a perfect game.
Merwin Gonzalez.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
Boy, does he have good stuff.
Oh,
man.
Red saw him in spring training this year, and my, oh my. All right, let's see if the Reds here in the 4th inning can get anything going. Here's some of the highlights from Yu Darvish last night pitching in Houston. 2 out. Perfect game, bottom of the 9th, bam, right through the wickets into center field, a clean hit.
On the first pitch.
Yep, and they took him out of the game. Ron Washington had let him go from a pitch count standpoint far longer than he would have under normal circumstances. They were clearly in firm control of the game. But when a guy's working on El Perfecto, he's not going anywhere. Shin-Soo Choo bounced out his first time up, and he strikes out this time up. The Reds still do not have a single base runner in the game after just 3 hits and 13 strikeouts on opening day.
And I can tell you that C.J. Wilson is no picnic up there, especially for left-handed hitters. You can see the sequence that he just gave Shin-Soo Choo, and I mean, he just dropped a slider on him that is outstanding. And here's the reason why. Here are these career numbers. Lefties are hitting right around 200. He rarely gives up a home run. Right-handers aren't doing all that great at 248. That's well below the league average by about 20 points, 25 points. But lefties, not a fun day at the plate, normally.
Chris Heisey flied out to right on the first pitch of his first at bat, getting his first start in place of Ryan Ludwig. He's worked a 2-0 count here against Wilson. I don't know if Wilson has gotten to a 2-ball count against any batter in a game so far. Only thrown 11 balls of the 36 pitches, and now he's 3-0.
You know, this is a great opportunity for Chris Heisey, not just tonight, but you got to figure over the next few weeks he's going to get a long look at playing every day. And I think the biggest thing that he probably should do is just relax, try to see the baseball, and go back to being a regular Chris Heisey, not trying to take advantage of it and say, hey, you know, here's my shot. I need to do everything I can tonight in order to be in the lineup tomorrow.
Well, right there, a little patience, and he draws a 4-pitch walk.
I mean, because Dusty's going to stick with him. There's no question about it. He's kind of earned the right to be, you know, the fourth outfielder. Yeah, you've got Xavier Paul. Now you've got Derek Robinson up. But, you know, I would say that Heisey's going to get the bulk of that playing time. And Dusty's a guy that will stick with a player for a while. So Chris is going to get a look.
Well, this is really the third year running where Heisey is going to get an extended period of playing time to prove whether or not he is an everyday player. Some would say he's never been given that chance. For those of us that have been around here, no, he's been, you know, not in a position to get 500 at bats, but he has had long stretches of time where he played regularly and had the opportunity to take a job. It was there for the taking. Whether it was in place of Drew Stubbs as a center fielder, whether it was in competition with Ryan Ludwig as a left fielder, or Johnny Gomes as a left fielder. And now all of a sudden C.J. Wilson has gone 6 consecutive pitches out of the strike zone. And we talk about this frequently, Chris, and I ask you every single year, many times during the year. Yeah, you do your warm-up tosses near the end of the warm-ups, pitching out of the stretch, but it's been an hour since he's done that, probably with any more than 2, 3, 4 pitches of working out of the stretch.
Well, 4 of the 6 balls he's thrown have come out of the full windup. That was to Chris Heisey. So now he's out of the stretch. Not only that, but he's got the Reds' best hitter at the plate. And you're just trying to find the strike zone. This is not a good spot to be for Wilson. Good spot for Joey Votto.
Votto takes a strike on the outside corner, 2-1.
Wilson's a guy that you can run on. He has given up 67 stolen bases in the last 3 years, which is about the 7th most in baseball. So if you're going to run, this might be a spot to do it right here. Meanwhile, you've got Chris Heisey kind of fainting back to first base every time Wilson lifts his leg up.
You can tell that Chris is not getting a good read yet when Wilson picks that right leg up. 3-1 now to Votto.
You run him here, figuring that Votto doesn't swing and miss all that much. Probably going to get a fastball or at least a strike.
There's ball 4. Back-to-back walks to Heisey and Votto, and here comes Brandon Phillips batting in that number 4 spot. Mike Butcher, the pitching coach, will come out for a visit. Now, if you're wondering about Brandon Phillips in his career, some of the numbers, at least in different spots in the batting order, and he's been primarily 1 through 4 since coming over in the deal from the Indians. And take a look, by far more games in the cleanup spot, a better batting average, and with, you know, the home runs is kind of misleading, grossly misleading, just based on the number of games compared to everywhere else.
But it's interesting because if you ask the common Reds fan, where do you think Brandon Phillips has had the bulk of his at-bats in his career? I mean, he's had more than twice as many at-bats 3 times as many at-bats, really, in the cleanup spot than anywhere else. So he's really the best candidate in the eyes of Dusty Baker, a lot of other people, that he would go there in the absence of Ryan Ludwig.
All right, first threat of the night now for the Reds. Still looking for their first hit. They've taken advantage of Wilson wildness, which continues. The first pitch in the at-bat to Phillips.
Boy, if you're Brandon Phillips right there and you just get a curveball that he just kind of floats up there and misses the strike zone big time. You've walked 2 guys in a row. You're thinking dead red, knee high right here.
1-0 to count on Brandon Phillips. Heisey and Votto aboard. Fouled back out of play. Now, one of the reasons that Dusty Baker would get frustrated at times with Brandon Phillips when he was batting in that number 4 hole, grounding into double plays. Brandon would hit the ball very, very hard, but would have a bad luck, or whatever you want to call it, but bounced into a very high number of double plays in situations a lot like this.
Well, how do you avoid that?
I don't think there's any way to do that.
The only way you avoid that is you send the runners.
In the air. Nothing double play about this, and Brandon Phillips, welcome back to the cleanup spot. In his second at bat, back in the number 4 spot in the Reds batting order following the injury to Ryan Ludwig. Phillips, a 3-run blast, getting the Reds on the board.
Now there it is, a low slider right in his down-and-in groove. And he just drops the head. That's a very similar swing to what he had his first time up. He nearly launched one out of here that was caught right at the warning track by Mark Trumbo. That one, you've got to be about 20 rows up to get a handle on that one.
So that's the first run the Reds have scored that was an RBI. They only scored 1 on opening day, and that came on a wild pitch. So back-to-back 1-out walks after Wilson had retired the first 10 batters of the night. And now Jay Bruce in an 0-2 hole, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Well, Brandon Phillips told Jim Day during spring training, Jim asked him, said, where would you prefer to bat? And Brandon Phillips said, I prefer to bat third. But I know I'm not batting third on this team. And now Bruce, a fly ball into left center, and that one will hit high off the wall. And Bruce now making a turn. He's coming to third, and he will get in there with a triple. A happy birthday triple for Jay Bruce.
He just gets a high fastball and stays right on it. Jay Bruce does. This ball nearly leaves the yard. He hits high on the left center field wall. And as Jay Bruce comes into second base, he sees the ball kind of being misplayed by the outfielders of the Angels. He kicks it into gear, gets into third base, no problem.
Well, let's see now if Frazier can get the Reds a 4th run in this 4th inning. Infield in. 1 out. And it's ball 1 high. Boy, how quickly all of a sudden the control of C.J. Wilson has just disappeared. He's falling behind every batter in the inning, starting with Heisey.
Well, if you're wild outside the zone, you're wild inside the zone, as was evidenced by that pitch he gave to Brandon Phillips. And the one to Jay Bruce. Frazier right here just trying to get something into the outfield.
Rano.
I'll tell you, Wilson doesn't even look like the same guy that pitched the first 3 innings.
Well, you're not kidding.
I mean, he was throwing the ball down. It looked like he threw the ball where he wanted to. Now he's missing high. Front side flying open a little bit. Not having his arm catch up with his body.
Rano to Frazier, infield in. borderline strike there. Frazier struck out his first time up. Walks to Heise and Votto, the Reds' first 2 base runners in the game, coming with 1 out in the inning. And Phillips, a 3-run big fly, and now it's 4-0 Cincinnati. On the line drive, single to center by Todd Frazier.
And when you have control problems the way that C.J. Wilson has had control problems in this inning, you take all the guesswork out of being a hitter. You run the count 3 balls, 1 strike. You know you don't want to walk another guy. You're going to get a fastball. And if Todd Frazier knows a fastball is coming, he might do this to it an awful lot. Right back through the box, a sizzling line drive.
Hey, by the way, you alluded to those problems Trumbo was having out there in left field. The scoring decision on the Jay Bruce hit was a double and an error charged to Trumbo. Bruce picked up on it right away and race for third, getting there easily. Now scores on the Frazier hit. The inning continues, still only 1 out for Zach Cozart. He's ahead, ball 1. Iannetta, a deliberately slow walk out there to the mound.
I wonder if he was told by Mike Scioscia to go out there and talk and enable the guys who are down the bullpen warming up right now, maybe to have a few extra moments to get loose. They've got him working down there.
Hey, Mike Scioscia did not look happy. That shot we had a moment ago. He was not only walking up and down the dugout, he looked like he was doing a little more stomping up and down the dugout. One and out of Cozart. Runner goes, and a bouncing ball. They'll stay out of the double play. So 2 are out. Ryan Hannigan, the number 8 hitter, and the 8th man to bat in this inning. I mean, do you automatically intentionally walk him just to face Latos and get out of the inning? The answer apparently is yes.
The way he's going in this inning, absolutely. If he's cruising along like he was the first 3 innings, I would be tempted if I'm Mike Scioscia to go ahead and let him pitch to the number 8 guy and have the pitcher lead off next inning. But if you're struggling the way C.J. Wilson is, you're just looking for an out, and your best shot is Matt Latos. Although Latos was swinging about pretty well down there in spring training.
So if the Angels are going to contend this year, they have got to have a big season out of Wilson. You can look back on last year and you say he won 13 games, he went to the All-Star game. Both of those statements would be true. But 9 of the wins came before the All-Star break. And over the second half of the season, Wilson had a hard time getting anybody out. And this is a guy who was so good in Texas. I mean, think about pitching in Arlington and having earned run averages in back-to-back years of 3.35 and 2.94.
Well, it's a harder place to pitch in Arlington than it is here at Great American Ballpark. The way the wind blows, as short as it is, you're playing American League teams. But his problem when he does go bad has been control.
Breaking ball in there, strike to Latos.
Walked a lot of batters last year. Nearly a batter every other inning, which for a starting pitcher is a lot.
Oh, and 1 on Latos. And a foul ball. That ball hit hard. And look at that young man. Oh boy. Allowed to stay up late tonight.
He's not cold.
No, he is not. Brought his glove with him. Atta boy. in the inning. But the Reds sent 9 to the plate. Took advantage of wildness, setting the table for Brandon Phillips. A 3-run home run. The Reds add one more. We go to the 5th. 4-0. Reds in front.
Then they lead the Angels 4-0 here on Fox Sports Ohio. Jim Day with you. Ryan Ludwig is out for a lengthy period of time. The big question was who was going to take his place on the 25-man roster. Well, the Reds decided it was Derek Robinson. As you look at a mini bio of him, 7 seasons in the minor leagues, and he really impressed the Reds brass in spring training. He'll hit from both sides of the plate. Talking to Dusty Baker before the game, he said, one thing our team lacks is speed. Dusty Baker loves speed, and Robinson will certainly bring that off the bench. I also talked to Derek Robinson, and I always like to ask the guys, how did they find out they were coming to the big leagues? Well, he was taking batting practice in Louisville yesterday. One of the managers or coaches pulled him aside. He thought he was just going to talk about the signs for that night, but they said, son, you're going to the big leagues. Now, his parents were in Louisville from Florida, and they thought they were going to see him play a AAA game. Well, they got the bonus plan. They followed him up 71 here to Cincinnati. They are here tonight, and if Derek Robinson gets in the game, it will be his major league debut in front of his parents. Boys.
Well, that's a nice story, Jim. That's a real nice story. And I'm sure his mom and dad, you can only imagine the way they feel right now. Their son has made it to the major leagues.
That's a phone call you love to get, don't you?
Man.
Any time of day or night.
No doubt about it.
Phone call you love to give.
All right, now an important inning for Matt Latos. Your team just got you 4 runs. Latos coming off just a spectacular inning in the top of the 4th. Struck out Pujols swinging, Hamilton looking, Trumbo swinging. He is fan 6, allowed 2 hits, got out of a 2-on, 2-out jam in the Angels' 3rd inning. And it's 2 balls and a strike to Howie Kendrick. 6, 7, 8 in the batting order. Callaspo and Iannetta will follow.
Well, the one thing you really want to concentrate on if you're Matt Latos is throw strikes in this inning. You're at the bottom half of the order. Certainly don't want to walk your way into problems and then have the lineup turn over and face the big boys again. Make them earn it.
That ball is clubbed into deep center field. Shoe at the wall. Goodbye. Angels on the board. A solo home run by Howie Kendrick. And it's a 4-1 count. And that pitch was hammered.
Kendrick's a nice player, a guy that you don't hear really nearly as much about as you would if he played on a different ball club, but it was less laden with so many stars. He's a nice combination of power and speed, plays good defense.
This ball is hit hard into right field and up against a wall, and Bruce will hold Callaspo to a single. So a home run to begin the inning, a hard hit ball off the wall in right follows that. And here's Iannetta, who at least through a game and 1 at bat has been the best Angels hitter. 3 hits already for Chris Iannetta, including a single to left field, his first time up tonight. Now Ryan Hannigan going to come out to the mound. C.J. Wilson's spot is due up next.
He's in the on-deck circle.
Yep, they've already had action down there in their bullpen. There were only one pitcher after all was said and done when Frieri came in to get the save. Jerome Williams was the only Angels pitcher not to have pitched on opening day. Oh, 2 on Iannetta.
You know, I think that little trip to the mound by Ryan Hannigan was the fact that he saw Matt Latos flying open a little bit, getting that ball up. The ball to Howie Kendrick was up for a home run. He got it up to Alberto Callaspo, who drilled it off the wall, and then he threw that first pitch high to Iannetta, who swung through it. He said, hey, stop flying open right here. Let's get it back down to the bottom of the zone where you need to live. Next pitch was right down where it ought to be.
0-2 on Iannetta. Double play all the way here. Phillips will turn it, and that takes care of that. Ball hit that hard once Cozart fields it cleanly. Unless you break down the very fundamentals of this game, you can't draw it up any better than that. That is one thing that Dusty Baker talked about regularly during spring training. As good defensively as Cozart is, as great defensively as Phillips is, the Reds were not a good double play turning team a year ago for whatever reason. And Dusty said that's one thing that he felt really needed to improve defensively on an otherwise spectacular Reds defensive team in 2012.
Did he mean they didn't turn double plays when they had opportunities?
Yes.
Or they just didn't turn enough based on the number of base runners they had?
I think a little bit of both. And I think you and I think I remember us talking about this from time to time last year, that there were a lot of times that, you know, we thought balls would leave the bat look like double play balls. That'll end the inning. A home run in the inning by Howie Kendrick. 2 hits, nobody left. Middle of the 5th, the Reds in front, 4-1. Have our Miller time moment. And we invite you to be a part of Great American Ballpark this Friday. The Washington Nationals come to town to begin a 3-game weekend series. Friday night, the post-game fireworks, thanks to Klosterman Baking Company. That'll be a Friday night game. Saturday and Sunday afternoons. Tickets are available, so why not come on down? Great American Ballpark. And tell you what, that is a big league series this weekend. It's a big league series to start it here against a club that many feel is among the elite of the American League, and the Angels from Los Angeles. And virtually everyone, not every single person, but all of those that have been asked, the so-called experts, prognosticators, what have you, believe the Reds, the Nationals, and the Giants are the elite teams in the National League. And the Nationals will be here starting Friday night. Top of the order for a second straight inning. Shin-Soo Choo 0 for 2 tonight. Bounced out to first and struck out. That's a lazy fly ball into left field at Trumbo. Well, I had a buddy of mine that sent me a text a little while ago, Chris. We saw these hats in the stands the other night, and I said, man, we got to get those things for opening night. Our friend Jamie Ramsey from Better Off Red dialed us up, thanks to you getting a hold of him. Well, he looked very dapper.
Well, Jamie went over to the team shop, and that's where you can get them. I mean, it might be the only place you can get them. But Tommy, I got to tell you, after seeing that on you, now I know why you got the nickname that you have.
Yes.
Because I think these are meant mainly to fit kids' heads, and there's Jamie.
Tired Jamie Ramsey, as I like to call him. You mean Pinhead?
Pinhead, yeah.
That's
a perfect fit.
It is. Our good friend, Mr. Ed Shepard, hung me with that nickname many, many years ago. But I'll tell you one thing, in all seriousness, these hats, in weather like this is a great hat.
Well, it is. It actually is pretty warm, and I'm feeling more and more comfortable in my own skin, if you want to call it that.
That's good.
Hey, we talked to Joe. Yeah, Joe Morgan up here on Monday. Talked about Joe getting a statue.
Yeah.
When you commemorate big people around here, icons.
I know where this is going.
And, you know, with a statue, well, Jamie Ramsey was behind kind of commemorating you.
Yes.
An iconic figure that you are up here at the media level with your own statue of a sort.
Yes. See,
I mean,
Jamie Ramsey,
that's a big Tom Brenneman right there.
He really doesn't have a lot to do, apparently, with Rob Butcher, his boss. Should know that Jamie apparently has a lot of time on his hands to make up a fat head of me as the official greeter to the Marty Brenneman Press Dining Room here at Great American Ballpark.
I mean, you're a big guy. How did they not recruit you to play basketball out there in Athens for OU?
Should have. Should have. Danny Nee, the head coach back in those days. Look at that. Larger than life, Chris. Larger than life.
No doubt about it.
That was funny coming in. He had been telling me that I would have a surprise when we got back. So that's it. Hopefully it'll be taken down later tonight. There's a breaking ball, 1-2 to bottom.
Marvelous back-to-back pitches right there. If you're looking at good pitching, you're seeing C.J. Wilson really bear down now on Joey Votto. Threw a fastball inside, just get him off the plate, and you follow by that big sweeping slider right there. Votto now really not looking or figuring out what to look for.
Joey has grounded a short, walked, and scored on the Phillips home run. And he struck out swinging. Votto's still looking for his first hit in this young season. 0 for 6. 2 are out.
Back-to-back sliders right there. Wilson's got a good one. We showed you the career numbers on C.J. Wilson. Left-handers in his career, which includes a lot of time as a closer. Batting right around 200. Has had 52 saves in his career. Had a high of 24 in one season for the Texas Rangers.
But when they moved him into that rotation, that was one of the primary reasons. The Rangers in 2010, as a runner goes, throw to second and safely in there is Heisey. And he may have been hit with the ball. As the ball arrived, it looked like it went into the glove of Kendrick, and then the momentum of the ball hitting the glove may have whacked him right across the face.
And I think he's got a bloody nose. Yeah, I think that ball may have flicked off the glove of Kendrick and then hit him flush.
You're right.
Actually, his hand got up and got over the glove of Kendrick. And that deflected the ball right into his face.
I tell you what, they do a Tom Browning on Chris Heisey right now if they had to. There's no way he's coming out of this game. And I say a Tom Browning. That's when he fouled a ball off many, many years ago at Old Candlestick Park in San Francisco. The ball hit the plate, came right back up and hit Browning right in the nose, splitting it wide open. And they butterflied that thing right on the dirt around home plate, and Browning stayed in the game. They're going to intentionally walk Phillips now. And they're going to pitch to Jay Bruce, who doubled off the left field wall his last time up. So a one-out single by Heisey. He steals second base. The intentional pass goes to Phillips. 4 walks. 2 of them intentionally now issued by Wilson. And Bruce with a chance. With the Reds in front 4-1, 2 on, 2 out, last to the 5th. Good breaking ball for a strike.
Back-to-back breaking balls right there. Jay Bruce, if you remember, hit a high fastball off that left center field fence. I'm wondering if he's going to get anything straight in this at bat at all. C.J. Wilson may just say, hey, you got to hit my curveball here.
Breaking ball popped up. Kendrick for the final out. A hit, 2 left. End of 5. Reds in front of the Angels, 4-1. Gives us a chance to answer our AT&T trivia question. Matt Latos won 14 games for the Reds his first season in their uniform a year ago. Who is the last pitcher to win 14 or more in his first season with a team? I thought
you say they were connected?
Yep. There they are.
Obviously, Matt Latos is connected with Edinson Volquez, having been part of that trade with the San Diego Padres. Volquez, of course, also connected with the other player you referred to here, playing right field for the Angels tonight, Josh Hamilton.
So what was that movie you referred to, Kevin Bacon?
Well, it was just the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
That's what I thought. Degrees of separation, right?
Yeah.
Or of Kevin Bacon. The 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, was that it?
Well, I don't know what the name of the movie is. I think it's more of a concept, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is.
Kevin Bacon has been around Hollywood so long that if you go 6 people deep, he's connected with everybody.
Yes. Yes.
Well, there you go. I guess that answer would be baseball's Kevin Bacon.
That's it.
And Volquez.
That's right.
He'll be happy to know that.
In there, a strike to Mike Trout. Top of the order now. I mean, we're starting to move now into the deeper and deeper into this game. Latos 74 pitches after that strike 1 pitch to Trout. And this is the top of the order for the Angels. Trout struck out his first time up and shot a missile into right center field for a ground rule double back in the 3rd inning. That's still a big play in this game.
Yeah, and that was a big pitch right there you just saw. Latos coming inside. They've tried to get Trout out by pitching him away. You buy just a little bit of that corner by coming inside. You're not going to intimidate a hitter, even a guy like Mike Trout, 2nd-year player. Big Matt Latos, 6'6" and all, but it's so tough to intimidate big league hitters. But what you can do is you make them change their eye level, so that at one time they're looking at something underneath their elbows, next time they're looking at something down and away on the outer part of the plate.
Hard hit, but right at Frazier, in on the grass.
Well, that's a quick bat.
Sure is.
Man.
That is one powerfully built young man.
I mean, that is a real quick bat. I got to figure that if I'm going to have to ask Todd Frazier what it's like to be standing down there at 3rd base with Mike Trout up. You're thinking, well, this guy might drop a bunt down, but at the same time, he might hit a scorching missile down here, too.
And now Eric Ibar. Ibar was the key out for Latos back in that 3rd inning. The inning began with a single with 1 out by Iannetta and then a 2-out ground rule double by Trout. A ball that would have scored Iannetta had it not bounced into the stands. And there's a little flare that'll fall in, a base hit. So a 1-out single by Ibar, and now here come the big boppers. Albert Pujols walked, was thrown out trying to steal second base, ending the 1st inning. Struck out swinging when Latos fanned the side of Pujols, Hamilton, and Trumbo in the 4th. Ibar, 20 steals a season ago, was thrown out 4 times. Latos another extended look in, and now the 0-1 to Pujols. Same result. 0-2.
Boy, nasty looking slider tonight for Matt Latos. We said that really from the first inning on. I mean, he's got such arm action on that because he has such a high arm delivery. I keep going back to that and his concept of pitching downhill. But this pitch really just goes straight down. You don't see that many. I mean, even Ryan Hannigan can't get a grab of that ball. That's a really unusual looking slider. He does that because his arm angle is so high.
There's one. And that's a double play to get out of the inning. Reds bat in the last of the sixth, leading the Angels 4-1. And you got to get on board. Bring your group to Great American Ballpark on the Fan Express to Reds country. Just call the Reds group sales number 513-765-7000, or you can log on to reds.com/fan express. And they're bundled up. But I tell you what, the 4 runs will warm you up a bit. The Reds managed 1 run on just 3 base hits on opening day in 13 innings. They have 4 runs, 4 hits here tonight. And Matt Latos, mighty impressive. Gave up the home run to Kendrick, leading off the 5th. Hard hit ball. That's a nice play there by the second baseman, Howie Kendrick. Then he nearly threw it away. I don't know if it's the weather, but Kendrick, the second baseman, and Ibar, the shortstop, on opening day and again here tonight, perhaps it's the cold. They're having a hard time getting the ball from wherever they are on the field over to first base.
Yeah, you're right about that. But when the ball is hit as hard as Todd Frazier just hit it, and he has smoked the ball 2 times tonight, all you got to do is knock it down, and you still have plenty of time to recover.
But now Cozart twice has bounced out to his counterpart, and there's a strike.
Hey, you think about it, though. If you know, Callaspo is from Venezuela. Eric Ibar is from Dominican Republic. You spent your summers in California. You spent your springs in Arizona. You really never get a chance to play in weather like this at all unless you make it to the World Series or open on the road like the Angels have done this year somewhere where it's cold. If you're not used to it, after a while you're thinking, and all you're thinking is, man, it's cold. How do I function out here?
In the air, left center field. Trout drifting to the track and has room to make the catch. Well, I tell you what, if they think it's cold here in Cincinnati, now granted they have 12 days, so you're getting a little bit deeper into the spring, less than 2 weeks from now. But on Monday, April the 15th, Tuesday the 16th, and Wednesday the 17th, the LA Angels of Anaheim will be playing in Minnesota. And they don't play in a dome anymore. Chris, I remember you and I 2 years ago walking out of the first road game of the year. We were in Milwaukee, and the dome in Milwaukee was closed up. You and I walked out to get a cab after the game. It happened to be the same week that the Twins were moving into Target Field, and you and I were walking to the cab. That one will get into left field, a 2-out hit by Hannigan. And you looked at me and you said, now look, it is brutal here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin right now. Can you only imagine what it must be like to be playing outside in Minneapolis right now. And people around the American League that have played there the last 2 years on certain dates in April say you cannot believe.
Well, they've actually been very lucky the last couple of years. It hasn't been anywhere nearly as cold as you would think in a more extreme winter. Now, we've had a very cold and extreme spring, but they could be surprised there in mid-April.
They have played at home the last 2 days against the Detroit Tigers. I did not look up to see what the weather was like.
Well, I did read some comments about Jimmy Leyland, who said it was mighty cold. He was hoping it would get a little bit warmer for both clubs.
Ground ball to short, and that will take care of business in the 6th. All right, we're marching on to the 7th, and the Reds are leading the Angels 4-1. Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Honda dealers in time now for our Honda team summary. Early on, it looked like we were going to have one like we had here on opening day. Both Matt Latos and C.J. Wilson extremely sharp early on. Wilson retired the first 10, but he walked back-to-back batters in front of Brandon Phillips, who clubbed a 3-run home run to left center field in the 4th inning. Jay Bruce followed with a double, went to third on an error, and then scored on a single by Todd Frazier. The only Angels run, a 5th inning home run by Kendrick. And you're up to speed as we march on to the 7th inning. 4 runs, 5 hits, 5 men left on base for the Reds. 1 run, 5 hits, an error, and 2 stranded for the Angels. And Latos is set to go in the 7th inning. He'll be facing Hamilton, Trumbo, and Kendrick. So you see those numbers. Votto in the season opener went 7, allowed 3 hits and a run with 9 punch-outs. So you've gotten 13 innings so far, 8 hits allowed, 2 runs allowed, and a whopping 16 punch-outs by Cueto and Latos so far.
Sounds a lot like the formula used last year by Dusty Baker to win the Central Division. Starting pitching sets the tone.
And of course, there are many out there that believe that Homer Bailey's big year is here in 2013 after the spectacular second half of last year, which of course included the no-hitter and the unbelievable outing Bailey had in the postseason game 3 here against the Giants. 2-1 to Hamilton.
Well, anybody who hasn't seen Homer Bailey for a couple of years and then comes out and sees him this year, you're not going to recognize him. Bigger, stronger. I watched just about every one of Homer Bailey's starts in spring training. I've never seen him with a delivery that is as repeatable as it is now.
Josh Hamilton has struck out swinging, struck out looking. Bailey will start on Friday night. Opening game of the series against the Nationals. Cardinals play the rubber game of their 3-game series tonight out in Arizona. Ian Kennedy shut him down in the opener, but Jaime Garcia and a laundry list of relievers took care of the Diamondbacks last night. Playable for Heisey.
Now let's take a look at that pitch sequence from Matt Latos to Josh Hamilton in a Boston pitch by pitch. Early on, it looked like Latos was trying to get him out with fastballs, but this time it's 4 breaking balls. That time he does throw a fastball by him to even to count 1-1. Set up a little off-speed pitch. Yes, he does. Down and away he goes. And Hamilton a little inside out on a breaking ball and finally flies out to left field. Obviously staying away from Hamilton that time up. They pitched him well. A couple of strikeouts and a harmless fly ball to left.
Trumbo struck out looking in the second, swinging in the fourth. A ball and a strike. On the Angels, left fielder Mark Trumbo. Pirates leading the Cubbies. That game in the seventh inning, 2-0. That's game 2 of that series. Jeff Samardzija won the season opener for Chicago. And boy, he looked good doing it. Charging hard, and that's an infield hit for Trumbo. Big, strong guy like him. And rolls one out there about 40 feet.
This is the one you field, you put it in your pocket.
So runner at first, one out, and here's Kendrick, who homered to straightaway center field his last time up. Fly to right, his first time up. Hey, that fly ball he hit to right field. He hit that ball hard. Kendrick's had good swings on Latos, and of course, when you only have 6 hits and one of them is an infield hit, good swings are few and far between. Nothing in 2.
Not a good swing there. I get the feeling that the Angels are going to stand around their batting cage tomorrow and talk about Matt Latos and his stuff very much like they did about Johnny Cueto today. They were amazed by Johnny Cueto's changeup, and I got to figure that that slider that Latos is dishing up there is going to be the topic of conversation about 5:30 tomorrow or earlier tomorrow, because it's a day game, but at least during the Angels BP.
0-2 on Kendrick. Beautifully smothered, blocked. Keeping it in front of him is Ryan Hannigan.
That would be about 10:30 a.m.
He'll be ready to roll tomorrow morning.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have it for you right here on Fox Sports Ohio.
Ought to be a nice day, right?
I sure hope so. Today was a beautiful day. Bright sunshine, still chilly. Christmas in the air. Temperature's not even reaching 50 degrees today, but bright sunshine 2 days in a row now. I know they're talking about the weekend being really nice. Much warmer temperatures Saturday and Sunday. In and out of the mid of Hannigan. So if you're wondering, you know, tickets are available. Friday night, 7:10, Nationals in town. And again, a reminder, Saturday is a 1:10 start. It's supposed to be 70 degrees, sunshine. Same on Sunday. Long time looking into Ryan Hannigan, and Howie Kendrick says that's long enough. So a similar kind of exchange after Ivar had reached in the 6th inning when Pujols was in the plate. Latos took a long time between pitches, and there is strike 3 call. And Kendrick knew it. 8 of them in the game now for Latos.
Well, he's been just living on that outside corner. That time he got the ball up a little bit compared to all the other spots he was hitting down and away. But Howie Kendrick, no argument right there. A rare curveball. He's only thrown a handful of those. His main breaking ball is that hard slider, about 88 miles an hour.
Tell you what, though, you add that to the repertoire with a little more frequency and able to drop it in there for a strike. Mercy.
It's a great pitch, especially early in the count. The other thing that Matt Latos really worked on a lot in spring training, and it's paid off, is his changeup.
This will be the 100th pitch of the night for Latos. This figures to be his final inning of work here in the 7th. If he can survive this, keep it at a 4-1 game, and it's in the air to right field. And it is a 1-run game on a 2-run home run by Alberto Callaspo. So all of a sudden a 4-0 lead is down to 1. Kendrick hit 8 home runs all of last year. Callaspo hit 10 all of last year, and both of them have hit home runs tonight off Latos.
Well, just think about the home runs that we've seen in this series by the Angels. This one by Callaspo, the one you mentioned by Howie Kendrick, and the other night by Chris Iannetta. Those are the 3 guys in this lineup that you would figure wouldn't be hitting home runs. But they haven't. It's a 1-run game. Still good effort by Matt Latos.
Excellent effort. 6 2/3, allows 3 runs, all earned. Struck out 8, only walked 1 batter. And this will be our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. Wow. They're bringing in young J.J. Hoover with a 1-run lead here in the 7th inning. We're back in a moment. For you, a great value this season. We call it the Kroger Meal Deal. Check concession stands throughout the ballpark for the Kroger Meal Deal. You get a hot dog, a big one, a bag of chips, 16-ounce Coke, and during the homestand, Sargento's string cheese. Make sure to get your Kroger Meal Deal today. So young J.J. Hoover will take over for Matt Latos. He was the loser on opening day. And here's a guy who beat him on opening day with a 2-out, 2-run single. Chris Iannetta, strike 1.
I'm actually a little surprised to see Hoover in this game right now, Tom. I know it is for Dusty Baker just to get the Reds out of this inning. There are 2 down in the inning. But Hoover threw nearly 50 pitches in that effort the other day. Get 1 day off, and I can see middle of the year you bring a guy back like that, but you've got guys down the bullpen that haven't pitched yet. Well, that's what he did in spring training, though. He's so impressed Dusty Baker that the manager's going to go with a hot hand.
Fastball in there, strike after he got Iannetta to swing at a breaking ball. So Hoover just trying to get to the final out here in the 7th inning, and then you know the equation after that. Broxton in the 8th, Chapman in the 9th. Breaking ball away. Latos gave up 7 hits, 2 of them in this inning. An infield roller by Trumbo, and a 2-out, 2-run home run to the seats in right field by Callaspo to make it a 1-run lead. And that fastball missed. Well, Hoover's got to throw strikes. That's the thing that burned him the other night in the 13th inning. He had a 1-out walk. They intentionally walked the batter. He got ahead of a pinch hitter, then hit him with a pitch, which loaded the bases in front of Iannetta. And he has walked Iannetta. Now you have J.B. Shuck will come off the bench. He is a left-handed batter. And no Sean Marshall here. Marshall did not pitch on opening day. Fastball at the knees. Good pitch. First pitch strike. Angels have left-handed batters Shuck and Romine on their bench. They have switch hitter Hank Conger, the backup catcher, and then they have Peter Borges and Brendan Harris, right-handed batters. Fastball taken high. 1 ball and 1 strike. Well, all of a sudden the Angels have really tightened this thing up. The 2-run home run makes it a 1-run game. They have a tying run at first, 2 outs. We're in the top of the 7th inning. And there's a base hit into right field. So Hoover has come on from the bullpen. He has walked a batter, allowed a hit, and now he is going to face Mike Trout. Tell you, the Reds are throwing a pile of responsibility on young Mr. Hoover. But when you're given that responsibility, that means there are people that believe you can get it done, and we'll see if he can do so right now.
You just wondering if when J.J. Hoover rears back for a little something on the fastball, if he's got it.
There's not a soul getting ready in the Reds bullpen. Well, just now, Alfredo Simon is up and throwing, and I mean just beginning to throw. Big at bat in this ball game. Tying run at second, lead run at first, and Trout the batter. 0-1. Breaking ball away. Hoover came in with 2 outs and nobody on, and walked Iannetta. He allows a single to the pinch hitter Shuck, and now he's gotten ahead on a fastball to Trout. And 1 ball and 2 strikes.
That's great comeback action on a fastball by J.J. Hoover. It made Mike Trout give up on it. Came back and clipped the outside corner. Drop a little slider on him right here. Now you got him thinking about looking away. You give him something away, but breaks even farther away from him.
There's strike 3 called, and that's a fastball, and Trout wasn't looking for it. So Hoover gets out of the jam. Well done by Mr. Hoover. Votto still in line for the win, although now a 1-run game. The first 20,000 fans get a 2013 Reds magnetic schedule and car magnet, thanks to our friends at PNC Bank. For tickets to Sunday's game, Friday, Saturday, any game all year, call 381-REDS. Visit select Kroger locations or log on to Reds.com/tickets. Boy, it is a chilly night tonight. But folks came from, that's an old school jersey there. That's a Big Red Machine. And that guy's been growing that beard on the left since a Big Red Machine. That's a big league beard right there. Wonder if he shaves that baby off. Summertime rolls around. What do you think?
Summer of '75. Sean Burnett, left-hander, saw him the other day.
And it will be Shin-Soo Choo, top of the order. Reds got all 4 runs in that 4th inning. They've had hits in each of the last 2 innings, but failed to score. The Angels are hoping that Burnett will be a big part of a big bullpen turnaround. We told you the other day, I mean, the Angels bullpen on opening day was sensational. They didn't allow a single run. And bear in mind, their starter, Weaver, came out after 6. So they got 7 shutout innings, 1 hit shutout innings. But the last 2 years, the Angels have blown more saves than any team in the American League, 47 of them. Of course, when the Angels had great teams, including a World Series winning team under Mike Scioscia, one of the real staples of the Angels franchise was a great bullpen. I mean, year after year, they were coming at you with Troy Percival and Frankie Rodriguez, Scott Linebrink. I mean, they just had guys just throwing gas. And there's ball 4 to Chu to begin the 7th inning.
That's a good sign right there, because Burnett has been brought into this inning because Chu and Votto, both left-handed hitters, are due up. And Burnett's been tough against him in his career. Holds left-handers down around 210 or 211 last year. So now he's got to deal with Heisey and then Votto.
Wilson goes 6 innings, allows 5 hits, 4 runs, all earned. He walked 4 batters, 2 intentionally, and struck out 4. Heisey has had a nice game. His first at bat, he swung at the very first pitch and flied out to Hamilton and right.
You know, Burnett doesn't strike out a lot of right-handers, so you wonder if maybe Dusty Baker might put something on right here. Contact hitter, decent wheels at the plate, or decent wheels at first base, and Chu. Right now he's got Shin-Soo Choo going back to the bag where he lifts his foot up.
Heisey walked, became the first Reds base runner of the game in the 4th inning, and was aboard on the Brandon Phillips home run, then singled and stole a base in the 5th. And he's fallen behind, has Burnett, to Heisey at 2-0. Two-0 on a breaking ball. A lot of times you love to see a guy take a big hack, very aggressive on a 2-0 pitch. But Heisey's still such a young player. But Chris, I don't think that you're looking for a 2-0 curveball there.
No, you don't.
Up in the strike zone. I mean, that's where you see the difference between the guys who are very secure in where they are, successful in the big leagues. Aren't many guys looking for a 2-0 breaking ball.
Burnett's been around 3 years in Pittsburgh, parts of 4 seasons in Washington. Got to be able to get more than one type of pitch over. I'll tell you what, he's got everybody messed up. He's got Chris Heisey pulling off the baseball, and he's got Shin-Soo Choo going back to the bag every time he goes home. Well, that front side just flying way open.
Action down in the Angels bullpen, right-hander Kevin Jepsen. Told you we saw just about everybody except for Jerome Williams.
Jepsen was the reliever that they had up back in the 4th inning when C.J. Wilson, a starter, ran into problems. Sat him back down. Probably happy to get up again, get his blood flowing, maybe warm up a little bit.
Now Votto still looking for hit number 1 here in 2013.
You know, if you watch Burnett pitch, you see why he could be so difficult to hit as a left-handed hitter. You watch his stride, and he really strides towards the Reds dugout down the first baseline. He's a real cross armor. Fires across his body, makes his slider look pretty good, and he hides the ball very well. That foot is going to end up pointing this way as he goes towards home. Take a look at his motion again, and a little hard to see from there, but you can see that he definitely does not go on line from pitcher's plate to home plate. Something that you teach kids not to do, but here he is in the major leagues doing it and doing it well.
2-1 to Votto.
Same way Jared Weaver. It's a better look as he comes over this way with that foot. Get a little deception that way.
Three and one now to Votto. He's not fooling any of the left-handed batters with his stuff so far in this inning. He walked Chu, and it's really outside of the 1-0 pitch, which found the strike zone. Has missed badly to Votto. Brandon Phillips on deck. Jepsen ready, one would assume, in the bullpen. And there's ball 4. That's the stuff when you go out and sign a guy and you bring him in to be your primary left-hander in the bullpen, and you bring him into a game. He faces 3 batters, 2 of them left-handed, and walks them both. That's not the best way in the world,
no,
to win a friend in your new manager.
Well, you get the 3rd walk, and that would be the walk of the manager from the dugout out to visit you on the mound.
So now Mr. Jepsen will come on to face Brandon Phillips. We're back in a moment. And we'll break it down. Interviews from the players. You'll hear from Dusty Baker. Chris Welsh will be on board. Reds Live is brought to you by King's Honda, the King's Auto Mall. Reds Live. Visit King'sHondaUSA.com. And now taking over, Kevin Jepsen. Pretty good numbers from a year ago.
Pretty good numbers just about every year when he's healthy anyway for Jepsen. 3.0 turned run average overall last year. But he'll be facing the Reds' hottest hitter. Brandon Phillips hit the ball hard twice.
Phillips, a long home run, getting the Reds on the board after consecutive walks from Wilson in the 4th inning. Pitch down and in, and he jumped all over.
That's his home run spot. If you've ever noticed, Brandon Phillips he'll hit fastballs from right-handers. They try to sink them down and in, and sliders and curveballs from lefties. That's the spot right there. That's why he goes for it. He's kind of got a little golf swing at it.
Mike Scioscia handed the ball to Jepsen, and rather than walking back to the 3rd base dugout, stopped and talked with home plate umpire Bill Miller for a long time. That one bounces up there, and a good block by Iannetta. Don't know if Scioscia's been unhappy with the balls and strikes tonight. A lot of his hitters have been complaining. Hamilton early, Trout very unhappy. That final at bat, stranding 2 in the 7th. Reds lead is 1 and trying to add to it with 1 out here in the 7th. Walks to Chu and Votto. And a ball and 2 strikes on Brandon Phillips. Fouled it away. Angels pitching has walked 6 Reds here tonight, and all 6 have come in the last 3 1/3 innings. Here's a 1-2 pitch. What a pickup there by Iannetta. He didn't have time to get over and block that ball.
Call that skill or luck?
You tell me.
Look, at your other hand, you've got a gold watch. I mean, you throw your glove up there and it might just find it, and it did. You didn't learn that in catcher school.
Iannetta serving the role of cheerleader behind the plate here on this 2-2 pitch to Jepsen. To Phillips. Oh, he had a good rip there.
And he knows it. You can see that the body language of Brandon kind of shaking his head a little bit. Thinking, man, saw it good, had a good swing, hair late.
Broke his bat, sounded like that time. Yep. Got the bees buzzing around in the hands. Maybe not. Maybe just hit it in a bad spot.
Bee bumble. Right on the end. You get a ball in the end of the bat, it can have the same effect as getting jammed right in on your thumb. And you can see that Brandon wears one of those old thumb pads on that right hand anyway. A little red cushion. Get that enough and you end up with like a bone bruise on your thumb, and you become to the point where you kind of want to flinch when you get a pitch you might get on the end of the bat or inside.
8th pitch in this at bat coming up. Jepsen to Phillips. Chu and Votto aboard with 1 out. 2-2 delivery. Struck him out swinging. Walk, strikeout, walk, strikeout. That's a pattern here in the Reds' 7th inning. And now Jay Bruce to face a right-hander Jepsen. Bruce 1 of 3. He's grounded to short, doubled off the left center field wall and scored. And popped up to the second baseman Kendrick, stranding 2 in the 5th. Reds did not get a single hit in 10 at-bats with runners in scoring position in the season opener. They already have 2 such hits here tonight, and looking for Jay Bruce to deliver another. Strike 1. Tied him up. Do you go around? No, on the appeal down to Dale Scott. 1 ball and 1 strike to Jay Bruce. Take a peek ahead of the top of the 8th inning. We could see a combination of Marshall and Broxton. I mean, that is a picture-perfect located fastball. Twice in his at-bat now to Bruce.
Yeah, he's got that little detail brush out there, just brushing the block on the corner.
2 now to Bruce. Chu and Votto at second and first. Struck him out. Reds strike out 3 more times in the inning. We go to the 8th. Reds in front by a run. Alrighty, here we go in the 8th inning. 4 runs, 5 hits for the Reds, 3 runs, 8 hits for the Angels. The Reds had the #1 bullpen in all of baseball a season ago. They were great all year long, but they got better when they acquired this man, Jonathan.
No doubt about it. The whole idea of having a bullpen like the one the Reds have is to be able to shorten the game. And here you are. You had the lead. Got that lead in the 4th inning when the Reds scored 4, and from there you just try to hold on. Turn it over to the bullpen about the 7th or 8th inning. And mail it on in.
Well, here we go. We got 2, 3, and 4 in the batting order. We'll start with Ibar. And that one thrown to the backstop as he shows bunt. Talked about maybe a combination in this 8th inning of Broxton and Marshall. You have Broxton face Ibar and Pujols, and should you retire both of them, then do you bring in the left-hander Marshall to face Hamilton, or leave Broxton in there just in case? Because if you're looking at just averages, and believe me, they're looking at averages and success in the righty-lefty matchup, as Phillips knocks it down, but it'll be an infield hit for Ibar. Ultimately getting to the point that Broxton has far better success against left-handed hitters than Marshall does facing right-handed hitters.
Broxton right here looking for the same thing out of Albert Pujols that he did last time up against Matt Latos, which was a around the horn double play ball. And he'll hit into a lot of them, Albert will. 19 of them last year, same number that Brandon Phillips hit into.
Pujols walked in the 1st inning, was thrown out trying to steal. He struck out swinging in the 4th, and then that double play, as Chris mentioned, in the 6th inning. Reds led this game 4-0. They have just not been able again to get the big hit in each of the last couple of innings, especially the just completed 7th. And meanwhile, the Angels got a solo home run in the 5th inning by Kendrick. Latos allowed a hit, but got a double play by Pujols, ending the 6th. An infield hit, and then 2 outs in the 7th inning. Latos cruising at fan 8. And gave up the surprising home run to Alberto Callaspo. And that's where we stand now in the 8th inning. With 1 on and nobody out. Reds 4, Angels 3. Pujols waiting. Ground ball. Frazier can't make the play. That'll be an error on Frazier, and a big one. 2 on and nobody out.
Ball hit sharply, yes, but Frazier was able to get over there and get in front of it. If you saw the second hop right there, it looked like it came right off the edge of the grass. It may have come up a little bit higher on Frazier than he had thought. Interesting that we ran tonight the CBTS Tech Talk about fielding with Todd Frazier, and he said, you know what, fielding at 3rd base is oftentimes you just try to knock the ball down and you come up throwing. And that ball was hit hard enough that would fall into that category, but it just skirted away from him.
So here's Josh Hamilton, who struck out swinging, struck out looking, and flying out to left field. Ibar, the runner at second, a tying run. Pujols, a lead run over at first. Ball has not left the infield. But the Angels have 2 on with nobody out. Strike 1. 1-1. Two balls and a strike now. Broxton against Hamilton.
You know, it seemed like the Reds, what they've tried to do with Hamilton, at least until this at bat, is to throw the fastball up to Josh Hamilton and the change-ups and the breaking pitches down low. Good low ball hitter.
Ouch. Two and two now on Hamilton.
Now, nothing but fastball so far for Hamilton. Ouch, because he broke the bat on his hands and also knocked the ball right into his foot.
Two and two to Hamilton. 2 on. Nobody out. Reds with a 1-run lead. We're in the 8th inning. Broxton the pause and now bringing it. Bouncing ball. They're going to have to hurry. Nope, they're only going to get 1. So in essence, like a bunt. I don't know what Brandon Phillips is pointing at. He's saying something to the umpire. Whatever it is, Todd Tishanor is not buying into it. But Brandon's pretty emphatic.
Yeah, he's looking around for help in the Reds dugout, not getting any. He's probably claiming something happened right here, that maybe the ball, he thinks the ball may have hit the runner. He immediately is pointing as soon as that ball goes by him.
All right, now the tying run at third, lead one at second. Here's Trumbo. And a ground ball to short. Reds are going to concede the run. So the infield hit to begin the inning, and a Frazier error allows the Angels to come back and tie the game. A 4-4 affair. I mean, Trumbo wasted no time whatsoever swinging at that first pitch fastball they got from Broxton. So Matt Latos cannot win it. Wilson cannot lose it. And now you're thinking about just getting a win for your team. The go-ahead run is out there at second base, and here's Kendrick. The Angels have not had a ball leave the infield in this 8th inning against Jonathan Broxton. But a hard hit ball by Ibar to lead it off that was knocked down by Phillips. An infield hit. Hard hit ball by Pujols, but a 2-hopper right at the third baseman, and Frazier could not field it cleanly. 2 more ground outs, including one with a runner at third and 1 out. And Garrett Richards set to come in the bottom of the 8th inning. Broxton okays his sign with Hannigan. Kendrick 1 of 3 is homered, struck out his last time up. Fly ball, right field. So the Reds will bat in the bottom of the 8th. They have given up a 4-0 lead here tonight. Ohio, brought to you by Cincinnati Children's Hospital, ranking 3rd in the nation on the U.S. News and World Report's 2012 honor roll for best children's hospitals. And by Chevy. Visit your Tri-State Chevy dealer today and get great pricing on a brand new 2013 Chevy. All right, here we go. Bottom of the 8th inning. And Garrett Richards will come on. Marking the 4th pitcher used by Mike Scioscia. He used 2 of them to get through a scoreless 7th inning. Burnett walked 2. Jepson came in, faced 2 batters, and struck them both out. Well, Frazier committed a big error in the top of the 8th inning. So he'll have a chance to make amends, perhaps with one hearty crack of the bat. He'll be followed by Cozart and then Hannigan. And a pinch hitter for Broxton. Strike 1. Reds still have everybody available on their bench. Xavier Paul from the left side, Jack Hanahan. Switch hitters is Turris and now Derek Robinson. And of course Devin Mesoraco. Bottom fell out of that pitch. Reds scored all 4 of their runs. They got 3 of their 5 hits in the 4th inning. They've had 2 singles since the 4th, and we're now in the 8th. Jam shot, roller. 1 out. So oftentimes when you have a bullpen and a young bullpen, and you're coming off a really poor year in your bullpen, the quickest way all of a sudden to gain a lot of confidence and start believing you're a good bullpen is having the kind of start that this Angels pen has had so far in these first 2 games. Now, 13 innings. They gave him 7 out of the bullpen in the opener, but only 1 hit allowed. Burnett walked 2 batters, but they still got through the inning with 3 strikeouts, no hits and no runs. And now Richards retires the first batter he faces, and it's ball 1 to Cozart. We always bring that up because of what happened with the Pirates last year. I think everybody agreed the Pirates had an excellent closer going into last year.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody believed that they were one of the top 2 or 3 bullpens in baseball when the year began, and that's what they turned out to be most of the year.
Well, the smart baseball people will tell you that the key to a good bullpen is a starting rotation that gives you some innings. Now, they did, obviously, in a 14-inning game, you're going to have to go to your bullpen a lot like they did on opening day. But you make a good point. You get some young guys. I mean, this is Garrett Richards' only 2nd year in the major leagues. You get him some confidence. I mean, he certainly has the arm to be a good pitcher up here. Kevin Jepson, you use him correctly, and he can give you quality innings. I got to figure that the Angels, even though they have spent a lot of money on their position players, that if they need bullpen help somewhere in the middle of this summer, they're going to find a way to get it done.
3-1 to count now on Cozart. Hannigan next. 4-4 a game in the 8th. And he takes a strike on the outside corner.
Well, that's a good looking pitch there. Little cut fastball that just moves right away from Cozart. Ends up right on the edge. That's a 94.
Well, I tell you, the Reds.
I mean, that looks like a slider. That ball's moving so much. I'll tell you, you're right, Tom. If this bullpen has been the Achilles heel for the Angels. They certainly haven't shown any problems with it so far. For what the arms we've seen coming out of this bullpen, the only guy that's had any problems is Sean Burnett throwing strikes to left-handers. This young guy's got a pretty good arm right here.
Well, now Ryan Hanigan. 2 down, nobody on.
Of course, the one thing the Angels are waiting for to help their bullpen would be a healthy Ryan Madson, who I understand has just begun throwing again off the mound.
Well, the Reds signed Ryan Madson, of course, last year. And then he never threw a pitch in a Reds uniform after undergoing Tommy John surgery, and the Angels picked him up. 2-0. Over 35,257 here tonight on this Wednesday night, a frigid Wednesday night, but a great crowd. 12:35 will go at it tomorrow. There are a lot more people here in colder temperatures now than there were on opening day. I get a feeling a lot of people came a lot more prepared for tonight than perhaps many did for opening day.
Of course, there's no parade 4 hours prior to the game today either.
Good point.
Except in your neighborhood to commemorate the large poster.
Tapper back up and under the glove of Ibar. I'm sure that'll be scored a single, but I'm also equally sure that Ibar will tell you either that ball flattened out on him or he got real lazy.
How can this be a single? Alligator armed it.
It's not to pick on Ibar. He's a nice player. I mean, look, he could play for me any day of the week. But that's the kind of stuff that when you're trying to teach little kids, Chris, you know this. You know, you're trying to teach little kids, you know, whether it's going all the way down to the basics about alligator, you know, the hands together, fielding the ground ball, getting in front of it. But then when they see guys make plays like that, I don't mean have it roll under your glove. I mean, you go to the side, you scoop it up, don't get in front of it, and you throw somebody out. That's what the kids want to emulate.
Yeah. I don't think he could have gotten in front of it, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Now Xavier Paul, and he takes low for ball 1.
They get the lead. That guy will be coming in.
I almost wonder if he's coming in anyway.
Yeah.
Hadn't seen anybody else get loose down there. And I would highly doubt you're going to. Well, you've already hit for Broxton, so Chapman is coming in. Unless somebody else got loose and we did not see him. 1-0 on Xavier Paul. Paul, so many big hits a season ago for the Reds and around to 97 victories. That's a 2-0 breaking ball, and that's a nice pitch. They all of a sudden had a low strike being called tonight. We did not see it last night from Dale Scott. And again, the runner at first base. 2 are out, 2 balls and a strike in a 4-4 game in the 8th. And another breaking ball, and this one misses wide of the plate. 3-1 with Shin-Soo Choo due next. If there is such a thing as a long double, it would take a long double to score Ryan Hanigan from first base. I mean, he has no lead. Pulled a string on him on 3-1, and now the count is full. Well, now Hannigan will get a running start.
I'm not even sure that's going to help him. I mean, the only reason you would think that he wouldn't be pinch run for right here is that you'd be down to your last catcher by having Mesoraco in the ball game in a game that could potentially go extra innings. Otherwise, you'd think he would be running for him.
3-2. Well, the Reds are swinging and missing at an unbelievable rate. 2 more strikeouts in the 8th. Go to the 9th in a 4-4 Philadelphia Union this Saturday following Reds baseball. Game time 5 o'clock with Dwight Burgess and Duncan out on the call. Columbus Crew Soccer. Well, 4-4 game. We played 13 innings here on opening day. We are starting the 9th inning here in game 2. And Aroldis Chapman will pitch the 9th inning. He'll be facing Alberto Callaspo, Chris Iannetta. And then a pinch hitter batting in the 9 hole for Richards, who allows 1 hit and punches out 2. Saw Chapman, of course, in the season opener 2 days ago. A scoreless, hitless inning. Walked a batter, fanned 2. Callaspo was the only batter that Chapman now will face for a second time. That was a final out recorded by Chapman in the 9th inning on opening day. He got Callaspo looking on strikes. Fastball 97 on the outside corner, knee high to get ahead 0-2. Reds have a top of the order in the bottom of the 9th. If Chapman can keep them right here. Still 0-2. Scott Downs, the left-hander, getting ready in the Angels bullpen with left-handed batter Chu, righty Heisey, lefty Votto. The first 3 scheduled batters in the bottom of the 9th. 0-2 to Callaspo.
Aroldis just trying to make sure that those folks in the front row of the diamond seats are awake.
And there's strike 3 call.
I mean, really, don't you think it's a little unnerving? On the previous pitch, he error mails one to the screen.
Yes.
And then he delivers it at 98 knee high.
Yes.
If you're buckling, you got a reason. Callaspo may be thinking, you know, it's one thing to be hit by a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. It's a whole other thing to be hit on a night when it feels like it's about 10 degrees here in Cincinnati.
Jam shot sounded like a broken bat by Iannetta, and that's because it is. He had a game-winning hit in the 13th inning here on Monday.
It's a good at bat by Iannetta. What we didn't show there is he fouled off a few pitches to get to a spot where J.J. Hoover put it in there, and he could finally get the fat part of the bat on it. He's been the Angels' best hitter so far.
Delivery. Line into center field, and Chu's got it. Boy, Iannetta. He is making solid contact. It doesn't matter who's up there on the rubber. All right, one more out to go for Chapman to give the Reds a chance to win it in the last of the 9th inning. Brendan Harris will come up as a pinch hitter for the Angels. Fastball on the inside corner at 95, even to count it a ball and a strike. Chapman with 2 down, nobody on, 4-4 game. We're in the top of the 9th inning. Chapman wondering where that missed. Boy, this is a guy you got to come after here. I mean, there is no debate whatsoever. Now is not the time to all of a sudden lose command or lose focus, knowing who's standing on deck. 3-1 to Brendan Harris. That's a smart move by Harris. A lot of guys in a game, 3-1. They just go to sleep. You know, especially a guy off the bench not known for power, and they're going to swing no matter what, 3-1.
You don't have any better chance of hitting that 3-1 pitch than you do the 3-2 pitch.
They all pitch to Harris. Fouled it back.
And what really what I mean by that is, as hard as Chapman is to hit, I mean, last year batting average he gave up was 141. I mean, your chances are minuscule either way.
Oh my goodness, it's ball 4, and now Mike Trout will bat. That is an excellent at bat by Brendan Harris. It is infrequent. You will talk about a 2-out walk being a good at bat. It's not only a good at bat, it was a smart at bat, a patient at bat, and now he gives one of the best players on his team a chance to bat in a tie game in the 9th.
That'll be an interesting matchup anyway, of a very powerful fastball pitcher and a very quick bat at the plate, Mike Trout.
Trout 1 of 4 in a game, doubled off the right center field wall back in the 3rd inning. An unearned run in the top of the 8th inning allowed the Angels to tie, coming back from a 4-0 deficit. They got 1 in the 5th, 2 in the 7th, and a game tire in the 8th. Popped it up on the first pitch in the at bat. Phillips makes a play, inning over. Chapman does his job. Now the top of the order for the Reds. Can they get it done and win it? Chu, Heisey, Votto coming up. Play of the game. Reds scored all 4 of their runs back in the 4th inning, and 3 of them came on their first hit of the game. Brandon Phillips, after walks to Heisey and Votto, reaches the seats in left center field. 2 more hits behind the home run by Phillips from Bruce, and Frazier plated a 4th run. Angels got 1 in the 5th. Got a 2-run home run by Callaspo in the 7th against Latos. That was all for Matt. Angels with an unearned run against Jonathan Broxton on a Todd Frazier error. Allowed the Angels to tie the game in the 8th, and here we are in the bottom of the 9th. Left-hander Scott Downs to face Chu. Heisey, and Votto. Right in the back on the very first pitch of the inning, and a winning run aboard.
Now you run into a very similar strategy decision that Dusty Baker has to make tonight that he had to make the other night. Got a leadoff man on, the winning run at first base. Your number 2 hitter, Chris Heisey, a good bunter. Do you bunt him over and then thereby taking the bat out of Joey Votto's hands? Well, they would undoubtedly walk him if he had a base open at first.
Heisey waiting. And he puts down the bunt. Downs thought about it. And just barely in time. So this is now a second game in a row where the Reds are virtually taking the bat out of Joey Votto's hands. I don't even know, Chris, on a lefty versus lefty, if you're going to let Downs face Joey Votto, are you?
I think you've got to walk him and set up a double play ball. I don't think you win anything by pitching to a guy who is perennially named an MVP candidate. Would be stunned if they're going to pitch to him right here.
Well, they're down in a crouch position to catch your Iannetta.
Even that said, I would have done the same thing as to move him over with a bunt. You got to have that guy on second base. Maybe this will be a good old-fashioned pitch around.
Votto, a one-hopper off the glove of Pujols in a short right. And here comes 2. The Reds win. The Reds win on a hit by Votto. 5-4 in the bottom of the ninth. Joey Votto's first hit in his 2013 season trickles off the glove of first Pujols, then the second baseman Kendrick, scoring Shin-Soo Choo after the bunt by Heisey. And the Reds have won for the first time here in 2013, 5-4 the final. And on Miller Time is brought to you by Miller Lite. And here it is, the game-winning hit.
A shot, a hard one-hopper that handcuffs the first baseman Pujols, goes off his glove, then goes off the glove of the second baseman Howie Kendrick. And once it spurts away from Kendrick, that's all she wrote. As Shin-Soo Choo skirts around third base, and the Reds have put a W on the board.
Let's send it downstairs. Standing by Jeff Pecoro with Joey Votto.
Thank you very much, Tom and Chris. Yeah, Joey, you told me in spring training there last couple of days that even though your average was very high, that you still weren't comfortable in spring training. Are you there yet?
No, not yet, not there yet. But that's been common for me throughout my career in April. Starting off slow, but fortunately, we've got some really good people behind the scene that I get to work with, and Brooke Jacoby, Ronnie Artagon, and the video guy Rob Coughlin that I get to work with, and they can help me get right sooner than later.
Joey, a lot of times when you get walked in front of you like that, they're going to pitch around you. We thought it might be, Chris even said this might be the old pitch around. You've got to be ready, obviously, every pitch. Do you know Downs that much? Did you think he was going to come after you, or what?
I don't assume anything. I treat it like the first at bat of the game, and I try not to get ahead of myself. So I really wasn't thinking, oh, they might put you around me because then I might miss out on an opportunity, which I hadn't. I was presented with a pitch and fortunately got somebody in.
It's nice to get off the schneid with a game-winning hit too, isn't it?
Sure. We got fireworks tonight. We got all these fans here. It was really great to have a fun opening night, especially how difficult opening day was for us. So really good win, and it's really nice to go back in the clubhouse and celebrate with my team.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Joey Votto, Tommy, got the big hit when you needed it, and Chris said it might be the old hit around or pitch around, but it wasn't. Joey was ready, guys. Back up to you.
Well, a big win here. Granted, only the second game of the year, but now you got a chance to win this series tomorrow. Bronson Arroyo will be opposed by Joe Blanton as Joey Votto on hit number 1 in this young season, and Cincinnati win number 1.